gets some of his money.
Yeah. AAC yesterday. 6 different teams will be joining their conference, including Jeff Traylor and UT San Antonio. It also looks as if UNC Charlotte, Florida Atlantic, North Texas, Rice, UAB could be added to the AAC. They've had teams move to the Big 12, and there might be more. Did they get the right teams?
I mean, they got what they could get. It's definitely a step down. This, I know there's I saw like a little bit of a couple of people like, man, this new American's great. That's a shell of itself, but I'm happy for those teams that are getting the opportunity. That's a big deal for some of those schools. Obviously, they were looking for some new landing spots, and the Americans a step up, so that'll be good for them. The American needed to fill out, and, it's kind of interesting of, just how big they're attempting to potentially get is kind of interesting, but yeah, it's definitely not what it was. And how could it be when you lose, the teams that you lost to the Big 12 conference? I mean, you're losing your top-ranked team right now. You're losing another team in Houston that's been pretty good at times for you as well. And you're also losing, who's the third? Cincinnati, Houston, and
UCF.
And UCF, who's not very good right now, but have been, known to make plenty of noise in the past. So, yeah, I mean, they were never going to find 3 teams to replace those 3 teams, I think, exactly. So they did what they could. And, if American fans are excited about it, then that's great, but it's definitely a watered-down version.
Well, and it may be watered down now, but I think the good thing that, look, the Big 12 has had to do, there's no replacing big with big. You just can't. There's no.
Well, it's like trying to replace Texas and Oklahoma.
You can't do it.
You couldn't do it. But
what you have to do is try to invest in something and grow it. That's what the Big 12 is doing with the 4 teams they've got, and that's what the AAC is doing with the 6 teams they're going to grab.
But here's from someone who is an insider among conference realignment discussion and all that, and it's somebody that I've leaned on occasion. I would have taken UT San Antonio. They're in it, right? Rice, North Texas, UAB. Those 4 are all going, right? Louisiana Tech and Southern Miss. Now, we've discussed Southern Miss before. That was just one of those unofficial visits. They really were never in contention with the Big 12. I mentioned that at least they were on the list, and I probably could have clarified that they're like that little dot down like Guam on the map. But Louisiana Tech, somebody I didn't think about. And some of these you have to attach teams. Even though regional rivalries are not that important, you still have to have – we know that if USF gets in, one of the reasons is also because of UCF, right? And if Boise gets in, other than what if they've earned to get in, one of the other reasons is because of Brigham Young. You don't have to have them, but that does make a little bit of sense. I don't even know how their conference looks as far as a map.
I just think it's going to be weird because, I mean, by the time this is all said and done, everybody's going to be in the same place, just like bumped up a level. Like, that's all it is. That's all it is. It's like, then the teams that are remaining in the whatever else conferences, they're going to band together, and like 5 of them will bump up a level. And so it's, I guess, mostly going to end up being good for pretty much everybody involved because you either stayed where you were or you got bumped up. And then, of course, there will be, those teams who were just never candidates for expansion who just kind of have to sit where they lie, but or remain where they are. But, there's a lot of teams that are, getting the excitement of a change in the schedule and a change in affiliation. And, we'll see how the new American works. I mean, obviously, they've got the ESPN deal, and they needed to do something. And so I think that they did the best with what they had remaining. And, hopefully it works out well for them because they have kind of taken the crown of being the, the best non-Power 5 or non-P5, the best of the power group. What is it? The best of the non-Power 5s. So, hopefully they maintain that status.
You saw the Big 12 wobbling, if not on the canvas, and they found a way to get up. Doesn't mean that they had the perfect solution, but what they did was pretty damn good considering where they were late in July. The AAC saw theirs falling apart, even though initially, remember that little kind of almost smart-ass type of story that, the AAC is going to take advantage of the crippled Big 12. How did that work out? The Big 12 reacted very fast and quicker than anybody could have imagined. Probably quicker than anybody possible except maybe someone who maybe was able to tell Bob Bowlesby, stop for a second, let's look at this, right? And they did. And they aren't done, and there's still the possibility of as well, Chapter 2.
I do think, though, and you bring up Chapter 2, I think if those Chapter 2 schools that have been rumored, they got to be wanting out right away. I mean, seeing the new teams coming in. And I'm not trying to be a D here. I'm really not. But if you're SMU, for example, and you see these new teams rolling in, is that really what you – like? You know what I'm saying? I mean, would you – is the SMU fan base, for example, going to get pumped up because they're playing Rice again, as a conference game? No, I mean, so I don't think these two teams, the teams being added, do a whole heck of a lot. And so I could see where, there probably is that hope lingering for an SMU or a Memphis as well. Teams like that probably feel like maybe we're, maybe we're on the way up too. So we'll see how it goes. But I mean, they're going to be having a grand old time as far as wins go based on this new conference. UTSA will be interesting, for however long they can keep Jeff Traylor. UNT's way down right now.
Yeah, Seth Luttrell, Phil Bennett, they've struggled 1-5 or whatever it might be. UTEP's a fun story. I believe we're going to get Dana Dimmel on sometime this week, the head coach at UTEP as well. A lot of great stuff today. Thank you very much from a lot of